Hello my fellow crafters, welcome back to my channel. My name is David and today I'm going to be playing. That's all I'm gonna do. My new release is out, the Hinged to the Past, and I'm just gonna build a bit of my stash. And I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna show you how I do that. How do I build my stash? How do I bulk make die cuts, etc. for when I do workshops, all sorts of things. But also, normally what I do is I stamp something first, then I heat emboss it, and then I die cut it. But that doesn't always work. In this case with the hinged parts, because of the holes that are in there, I had to make some metal here to make sure that the holes were cut out. So what I am going to show you is how to do it in this case. Because if you say stamp, heat emboss, and then die cut it, you will see the impression of the metal in the heat embossing. You don't want that. So I'm going to show you how I do that. So without any further ado, let's switch the cameras around and get playing. So what you see here is my Misty all set up. I've got all sorts of things die cut out, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to go about this. So first things first, what you need is sort of a template thingy with a contrasting color. So what I did, I took that die from the hinged set and I die cut this out of an orange piece. So that's going to be in here in a second, but first things first, I need to stamp my stamp, and this doesn't have to be a perfect stamped version of it. I'm just gonna lay my stamp down approximately where I want it. Pick it up, take this piece out, take any ink will do. And as I said, this doesn't have to be perfect. Stamp that, good enough. And then I'll take my template that I just showed you. I'm gonna measure that all around. Yes, that's how it should go. So now I'm just gonna look that I get the perfect border all around. Put the magnets out of the way. Just how I want that border to be. This is perfect, so I'll just put my magnet there. But I'm not just going to do the magnet. I'm also going to use some tape and tape that in place, just so it stays. Now, what I did, I taped down the mouse mat in the Misty, so it stays in place as well. So everything is nice and tight and stays in place. Because what we're going to do, we're going to do some stamping in a row. And I'm going to do some heat embossing and, well, you'll see. So that's all nicely taped in place now. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take my die cut piece. This is a piece of plain coffee dyed paper that I had laying around. Real coffee dyed paper. I've got my coffee dyed paper back and I've got some things cut out of that as well. But this one I had laying around in my stash. So I just thought, well, you know what, use it. I'm going to fit that in there quite snug. Like so. And then I'm going to ink up my stamp, and I'm going to use my brown VersaFine for that, for no rhyme or reason. Ink up my stamp, make sure there's a good layer on there, and with that stamp, with that die in place in my template, I'm going to stamp my stamp, and I'm going to redo that because I want a good layer of ink on there. I think I need to re-ink my brown VersaFine. There we go. That is beautiful. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take my coffee filter, and I've got a, let me see, this one. This is my Setapter Baked Textures Chunky Rust, and I'm going to throw that over this. Now this is funny stuff, it's almost hairy. I'm just gonna let that flow all over my stamp. So I'm gonna make a rusty thing out of this. Tiny bit more there. There we go. So technically I can just put this to the side now and continue to the next one. So I'm gonna put this in my bowl, put this to the side and make another one. So again, take another die cut piece, put that in its template, ink up my stamp, and repeat that. Now I want a good layer of ink on there, just because I'm going to heat emboss this. Cool. You see it's stamped perfect every single time. And that's the benefit of having this template in place and doing it like this. Beautiful. So on to another one. I will be using this later again, but for now I just want to use another color, acorn, which is more of a reddish brown. Ink up my stamp. Make sure this one is perfectly in place. And stamp. Beautiful. And I'm going to use a distress embossing powder, Rusty Hinge, on that. And this is also ready to heat emboss. Now I'm going to put my template to the side for a second because I want to show you how I continue. So I'm going to melt this. And I'll do that off camera and then I'll be back. Okay, these are nicely melted. And as you can see here, because the distress glazes are transparent, you get that nice dark crunchiness looking through. But this one, I love that stuff by Setapter, the baked textures. This really looks rusty, but I'm going to continue because I want to make this look more rusty as is. So I've got my two colors here, Vintage Photo and Rusty Hinge, and I'm going to put those onto my glass mat. Spritz that with water. Mix them up a bit so I don't get the squares. And I'm just gonna drag my die cuts through. And it's a bit of hard work because there's a lot of texture on here. So what helps is if you spray your die cut, it helps to spread out the color a bit more. But you can already see, and this is a process of building and building and building, but you can see it coming. So, and I will do the same with this one. Just mopping up some of that ink because it's there. And again, it gives texture to the paper. So, clean up this. And repeat. So Vintage Photo. and rusty hinge. Spritz that with water, break it up, making sure these are dry, because wet on wet blends wet on dry layers, and I want layers of yumminess on here, so that's what we're doing. I'm just dipping it in there. Creating layers of texture, getting droplets on there, putting in a bit more of the rusty hinge. There we go. And I'm using distress ink, not the oxide, so it's transparent, so that gives just texture. It won't cover up all the yumminess that's underneath. Just going back to this one, add some where I want it, but I think I'm quite happy with how this is turning out. Beautiful. So my final step, I'm going to take my frayed burlap, and I'm just gonna ink around. And there we go. Nice, rusty, textured hinges. Love that. Love, love, love that. And it's just so convenient that you have these laying around. Make a little box. So you have them, and you have them ready to play with. Done. Okay, these are done. Now, I'm going to put these to the side because I've got more laying around here. And what I'm going to do with that, and I'll show you, I will make a template for 3 stamps in a row. So I'm going to take off this stamp, and I will take off the stamps that I need for this, the next bit. So, this needs to go. Now, I'm not throwing away this template, I'm saving that with my stamps for next time. Okay, so next I'm going to make the smaller ones. And I want to stamp these out in one go, because, well, this is about saving time and mass making, building your stash. So I'm just going to spread these out, like so. Pick this up and stamp. Simple as that. Nothing perfect about it. Now I've got my templates cut out, but I just need to trim them apart, which is fine. And then I'm going to line up the first one. Happy with that. So I'm going to stick that down. Just reusing the tape we used before. So this is now all ready to go. So all that's left for me now is to put in my die cuts, just the same as we did before. Ink it up. So I'm going full speed now, making sure they're all nicely snug in there, and stamp. Put another layer on there. That's the benefit of using a MISTI or a stamping platform. You can do this in any stamping platform. I just like to use the MISTI. There we go, perfect. So what I'll do next, I'll take my coffee filter, put them in there, cover them up in the embossing powder, and I will put them into my glass bowl. Makes it easy to melt them in a second. There we go. On to the next. Put that in there and stamp them. And you get perfectly stamped images every single time, and that is so easy, especially when you have when you want to build your stash and do different things, or when you teach classes. This is also a really easy technique to save you time. And in this case you will not get that indent in your embossing powder, which is also really nice. So in this case, when you want to stamp first, it doesn't really work. If you want to die cut first and then stamp, this is the way to go, in my opinion. So I'm going to do the same to these, and then I'll be back to show you the finished result. So here we have the end result. A nice start of my stash of lovely rusty grungy hinges. Two different ways. This one is with the baked textures by Seth Epter. I love this. This is really, really cool. But also this one just with the rusty hinge. These look pretty cool as well. So I'm really happy with how they turned out, and I've got stuff to play with in my journal. For instance, here I can, in this journal that I started, I can put a hinge here, or even on this side put a hinge. So I can play with that, put them where I want to, or a bigger one there. I can already see loads of possibilities. So loving this. That was it for today. I'm going to put these all in a little box that I have ready to go and ready to play. So I will do a lot more of this, but I won't do that on camera. Yeah, I hope you liked it. I hope I gave you some tips on how to do this. And if you liked it, give this video a thumbs up. If you really want to see more of me, now's the time to subscribe to my channel, because if you stick with me this long, yeah, you might as well stay. Thank you for that. Thank you for being here today, and I love to see you for the next one. Bye.